My name is Ben Renick. I'm with Renick Reptiles, and this is my story.
This is Ben Renick, a 29-year-old who's dedicated his life to breeding exotic snakes.
I'm very meticulous. I think success is, especially in this industry, it's going to be a mixture of a lot of different things. I spend months working on breeding plans. It's what I love doing, and I take pride in that.
He's making a living following his passion, something we all dream of, but few achieve. He's on the brink of a business deal that will change his fortunes for good.
I have a normal sunset. They hit like a 200-gram point and they turn really, really, really red.
He knows everything about his snakes, how they grow and change, how they need looking after, and how they can kill. He's handling lethal reptiles day after day. He considers them to be his babies, his friends. But for all his expertise, they're wild animals. And when things go suddenly, horrifically wrong for Ben, it's the snakes who get the blame. Has this thriving family man flown too close to the sun? Could he have become a victim of the very same dangers he spent a lifetime mastering?
911, what's the address of the emergency?
There's a bite mark on it, so there's a snake loose in here. So watch your...
At first glance, this looks like a tragic accident. But as investigators dig deeper, his death begins to unravel, revealing a web of lies, poison, and betrayal more chilling than any cold-blooded snake. Here on The Decoder, let's dive into the tragic death of Ben Renick. This case takes us to Montgomery County, Missouri, home to the copperhead, the cottonmouth, and 3 different types of rattlesnake. Snake bites aren't an uncommon reason Missouri residents end up in the ER. On Ben's family farm in New Florence, however, he's housing a much more exotic collection.
Do we have anybody we could call to deal with an anaconda? All right, up there.
Converted barn on the farm's property, he set up a 3,500 square foot reptile facility he calls Renick Reptiles. There, he breeds, hatches, and keeps pythons and anacondas.
Ball python. And basically, anything that's past about 400 or 500 grams will typically go on one of these tubs, especially since we always need to make room for more babies in our hatchling racks.
He has thousands of these tubs. In each one, he has a python or an anaconda, carefully bred and looked after to sell to buyers all over the world, as far afield as Japan. But he's not just in this for the money. Ben posts videos of his snakes to YouTube, and his genuine affection for them is clear.
A female albino green anaconda. Really, really beautiful snake.
When the local police department receives a 911 call at 6:36 p.m. on June 8, 2017, it seems like a cruel twist of nature. One of his beloved creatures has attacked him, and killed him.
Oh my God, my brother's dead.
What may have happened?
He got killed like snake.
And the cops don't have the same attachment to the some 3,000 snakes housed in the facility.
I don't care if it's a 5-inch long stick, and if something's trying to bite me, I'm gonna light it up.
Make sure there's no space around the victim.
Yeah. Who is?
Ben Renick.
Expertise and experience hasn't prevented wildlife professionals from getting hurt in the past. Infamous zoologist Steve Irwin was killed by a stingray in 2006, and the nature industry was never the same. That's what the cops initially believe has happened here. They find Ben on the floor, covered in blood, with his head crushed and with an apparent snake bite, and one of his anacondas on the loose. The so-called rock star of the reptile world is dead. Ben was a New Florence native. Born on August 4th, 1987, he'd lived on his family's farm all his life. His interest in reptiles started early. He spent a lot of his time as a kid hiking around, looking for insects, snakes, and lizards, until his parents finally took him to a pet shop where they bought him a yellow rat snake. From there, his collection grew. He collected king snakes and milk snakes until he got his first ball python, and his obsession with more dangerous snakes began. In 2008, his mom died of cancer. His father soon followed, taking his own life after being implicated in a multi-million-dollar Ponzi scheme. He left the family farm to Ben, though Ben's older brother, Sam, continued to live there as well. In his parents' honor, Ben chose to shape the family farm into the home of his business, Renick Reptiles, Inc., his reptile breeding company. He found rapid success. He made his name in the industry worldwide, considered a pioneer. His snakes could sell for upwards of $100,000 each. Early that year, 2017, Ben made a landmark deal. For a multi-million sum, he would sell some of his pythons and anacondas to an NHL player. This was real financial success and a means of supporting a second business, a day spa called Essentia Spa, run by his wife.
Somebody else. What can I get your name? Hi, I'm Lindley. I'm the owner.
His wife's name was Lindley Renick, another Missouri native. She'd known Ben since they were teenagers in high school. She was a cheerleader, which kept her afloat amid an assortment of mental health issues, such as depression and an eating disorder. She met Ben through her boyfriend at the time, who was in a band. Ben was the drummer for that band. Lindley and Ben didn't start dating then. After high school, Lindley moved to Jefferson City, where she studied for a qualification in massage therapy, which she finished in 2007. She was 19, and she was pregnant with her first child, a son. Her son's father didn't stay in their lives for long.
Some stuff, but he ended up getting into a pretty serious car incident, and some other people in the other car were really badly injured, and so he was in the hospital after that, and then he was in jail, and ultimately ended up going to prison. I don't know what the charges or anything were, but he was in prison for quite a long time.
Now a single mother, she started working as a massage therapist in Jefferson City, trying to make ends meet. At this time, a previous acquaintance, Michael Humphrey, got in contact with her. He wanted to find out how she was doing, and they got talking and didn't stop. They started dating, but it wasn't a healthy relationship.
What was the main problem in that relationship?
Drug addiction.
On whose part?
Both.
Had you been addicted? What, I guess I should say, did you use drugs?
I did. So I became incredibly addicted to prescription pain pills. You know, our relationship it was always just very toxic.
After about a year of this, in 2010, Lindley packed up and moved herself and her son to Columbia, Missouri, to get away from the relationship and the drug use both. She was searching for a new start, and she found it in Ben Renick. He messaged her almost out of the blue on Facebook.
We just kind of started, catching up, talking about, hey, how have you been? And he was respectful and, kind and compassionate.
For Lindley, Ben was just what she was looking for, a total contrast to her ex. He had a stable, successful career, and he was genuinely interested in her as a person. They had the same taste in movies, specifically horror movies, and they both liked to read. It didn't take long before Lindley and her then 4-year-old son moved on to Ben's family farm. Things moved quickly. They had a daughter together, and Lindley started working in the reptile business. They got married in 2014. Their relationship still seemed to be strong 3 years later. In February 2017, 4 months before his death, he posted a photo of Lindley on Facebook with the caption, "Most amazing woman ever. Take someone special to offer to help me with my company, even if it's unloading a couple thousand rats for me when I'm out. There's not a day that goes by where I don't appreciate everything this lady does." It was a kind of late honeymoon gift then, when Ben used the proceeds of the business to help her set up the day spa. Both of them were living out their dreams, raising their children, and doing what they loved. Until that fateful June day, when it all came crashing down. It was Lynn Lee who found Ben's body. She called Sam, Ben's older brother, who was the first one to suggest that Ben had been strangled by one of his snakes.
There's a snake, honey. We're not doing anything.
But when the coroner arrived on the scene, the truth was immediately apparent. He wasn't killed by a snake. He was shot in the back 8 times, once at close range.
I let the guy before I did, so I don't know that.
The next day, the police bring both Lynn Lee and Sam in for questioning, trying to understand what exactly had happened the previous day. But Lynn Lee doesn't seem to know anything at all. She says she was at the spa at the time of Ben's death.
Do you have any questions for us?
What happened? What do I do?
Friends and family. Could you see anybody you know being upset with Ben to the point where that may happen?
Both Sam and Lynn Lee agree to gunshot residue tests. They're both cooperating. But Lynn Lee has something startling to say.
Was there any family issues?
Like between Sam and, yeah.
According to Lynn Lee, the brothers were arguing because Ben wanted to sell the family farm. The farm had apparently always been a source of conflict between them after their father left it to Ben, the younger brother, rather than Sam, the older brother. Could this be a motive for Ben's murder?
6:45, Lily calls, screaming. I can't make any sense of what she's saying. I thought she ran over a dog. I walk out the front door, leave the Harlans with the kids, get to her car, which is now parked behind his, and the kids are in the car. I check out the kids. The kids are okay. She's hysterical. I know something's wrong with them. Door's wide open. I go in, and at first I thought he got killed by a snake, or he's stuck somewhere with the snake. And I immediately go downstairs through the front door. I run downstairs. That's where all the big snakes are. Can't find them. I do a full 360 around the room. Downstairs, can't find him anywhere. Come back upstairs. Go back up first. He's not here. And then she points to the back of the room, and I go to the back and I find him. And when I find him, he's face down on his belly, with his arm. There's blood everywhere, and all over the floor. And I see he's got a laceration on the back of his head, and some on his side, and on his arm. I try to feel for a pulse. He's warm, but he's blue and pale. And I flip him over. I grab him by his arm and I turn him around, and I see his face. And his face is all f***ed up. But at that time, Lindley gives me the phone, and I'm talking to the 911 dispatcher. I'm freaking out because I think there's some goddamn snake somewhere. And I checked for a pulse, and I could feel something moving around in his chest, but he wasn't breathing. And it was right after I flipped him over. I don't know what. I think there was a dispute over we were going to split the farm up, and there was this argument about money, how much money I'm going to give him, 50% of the land, and that was all before I decided I can't afford this land, even if I buy it. So that was all prior to the plans of moving. But ever since then, back in the day, it didn't help things. My wife just said some nasty things to Lindley that she shouldn't have, and Allie had plenty of opportunity to apologize, and she never did. And I was not happy with Allie about that. I apologized for Allie. I went up to Lynn's business, brought her a bunch of baklava, and kissed her ass a bunch of times trying to make up for Allie, but Allie's stubborn.
Sam, did you have anything to do with the death?
No.
Anything at all?
No. I can't imagine it. No. The answer is no. I'm wrapping my mind around all this now, but I know you're gonna ask me certain questions. I have no idea what happened to my brother.
What do you think should happen to whoever's responsible for this?
You mean I find him, or I don't know. My brother was murdered. I don't know. I got some ideas.
Yeah?
I'm not gonna do anything stupid.
I'm not asking you if you're gonna do it. I'm asking you what you think should happen.
I'm an avid believer in death penalty.
Could one brother have killed another? But Sam's hands test negative for gunshot residue, and he passes a polygraph test with flying colors. It wasn't him. So who was it? In the meantime, the reptile community bands together to support Ben's now fatherless family. They hold an online auction of donated snakes, and it's a testament to how well known he was that they raised so much money, over $40,000, which goes to Lynn Lee and her children.
Remember, all this money is going to a great cause.
Today, our hobby lost a titan. You feel bad for his family and for him, and the hobby really lost somebody who cared about the animals.
His death is, I mean, it came as a shock to anybody in the ball python community, obviously, but I just felt like I needed to say rest in peace to him. He was a really good guy.
There's a lot of sympathy towards Lynn Lee, the grieving widow, trying to piece her life back together. But just 11 days after the murder, a new revelation emerges, and the perfect picture of the fairy tale marriage cut tragically short begins to fall apart.
You've been talking to anyone, or did you have a relationship?
Eric.
How long did you guys hook up? It was just sex. Did he think the same way?
Yeah.
Lynn Lee was having an affair around the time of her husband's death. Naturally, the police check him out, but he's got an ironclad alibi. Still, it raises their suspicions. They interview one of Lynn Lee's co-workers at the spa, a woman named Ashley Shaw.
I mean, I'm sure that you know she was having an affair, a couple affairs actually.
It wasn't just this man Eric who Lynn Lee was seeing outside of her marriage. According to Ashley, she'd met a man called Brandon Blackwell on a dating app and had been seeing him too.
Oh, Brandon was like really a short time before that, I believe.
At least 2 affairs, and the investigators learn money problems as well. Recovered Facebook messages between Ben and Lynn Lee reveal that the couple owed $200,000 in debt on the spa. On March 27, 2017, Ben wrote, "I honestly don't know. Even if I file bankruptcy, the bank can put liens against us personally." While the reptile business was booming, the spa was already on its last legs, and the couple were fighting about it, right up to the day Ben died. Just hours before he was murdered, he wrote to Lynn Lee, "No more lying, no more keeping things from me, no more not paying people and thinking it's okay to pay later." Someone killed Ben, and increasingly, it's looking like it was the person closest to him in the world, his beloved wife, Lynn Lee. Physical evidence is lacking, however, and it takes the investigators 4 months to sit her down for a polygraph test.
Okay, how do you think you did, Linda? Okay. I scored the charts. And I didn't need to take any more, collect any more data, because the data that was there was very, very clear.
Okay.
And so the results of the polygraph showed that you failed the test. Every question that I asked you concerning the relevant issue, which is whether you were involved in any way, when you answered no, showed that you were lying. And I told you at the beginning of the day that we would both know at the end of the day whether you had any involvement in this whatsoever. And what I know is when I asked you that question, did you shoot him or did you plan to participate in any way, that when you answered no, that was a lie. Okay, so what I need to figure out is whether this was just something that just got out of hand and you didn't mean for it to get to that point, or what the deal was. Because the thing is we We have done an investigation. We've looked at everything we can. Sam is not responsible. We've ruled him out. We brought you in here to find out if we could take you off that list, and we can't. We found out that you have actually failed the test today. When I asked you, did you shoot that man? You failed the test. When I asked you, did you plan to participate in any way? You failed that question when you said no. So the best thing for you to do, Lenny, is explain to us right now. Your chances right now of explaining it are better right now to tell me. I know that you were involved in this. We know. Just need to find out.
Explain why I failed that, but I didn't kill Ben.
When I asked you those questions, there was a significant reaction to it. I've been doing this a long time.
It's really hard for me to hear that.
I know.
I found out that he was shot, not by people telling me, in my driveway with a news article.
Right. Yeah.
And even thinking about that,
just hear me out.
horrible.
Hear me out. But you knew that coming in today. And the purpose for you coming in today is to take you off that list of people that were responsible in whatever way possible. And I had to administer that test for you to get you off that list.
I understand.
And I gave you a fair test. And we covered all those questions. And when I asked you the question about, did you plan or participate in any way? You failed when you said no. You had a significant, I'm telling you, and I'm not blowing smoke. I'm telling you the God's honest truth. I'm not here to do this. If you would have passed, you'd be walking out of here right now. Was it because you needed money to keep your spa going? Because I know that was one of the issues, at least according to the investigators, the money to keep that spa going, because that was close. That was one of the most important things to you besides your kids. You wanted that spa. You wanted to open one out on the West Coast. Yeah, I know that was important to you. And Ben was going to shut it down.
Ben was the only reason that spa made it to where it's at, and him being gone is the reason why it has to close.
But one of the text conversations that were deleted from your phone were actually recovered from Ben's phone, showing that there were definite arguments within the hours of his death. Were you recontacted with Mike Humphrey? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. You're tracking me. Okay. And then the day of the murder. After that, you all haven't had that much contact. Makes it appear like you have something to do with it. And you withheld that until one of the last interviews. The thing is, Lemon, is we know you were involved. I know that. I am confident in my abilities to do a polygraph. I know that when I asked that question to you, and you said no, that you would not be approved. I know that. And it's my obligation to give you a chance to tell why that is, why you were involved in this, because I know that you were. I asked you specifically, did you shoot him? I don't think you were the trigger man. There is a big difference between standing in front of somebody and pulling a trigger and asking someone to do it. That's what I'm saying. People, when they hear things like this, they think of someone standing in front of them shooting someone dead. And that's not what I don't think you're that type of person. I really don't. But I don't think you stood in front of them and shot. I think you probably talked to somebody about it, and maybe they went and did more than what you wanted to do. I don't know. All I'm saying is, when I asked you the question, did you plan or participate in the death of that man? That was a specific question that I asked you, and you had a significant reaction.
I'm sorry, I can't explain that, but I didn't plan my husband.
We know you did. We know you. I know at some level you talked to someone. And I've got people. There are investigators talking to other people right now. Okay.
And I hope they find who did it.
Yeah. Well, what I'm telling you, Lily, is you failed the test. You failed the test. And guess what? I'm going to write a report, and I'm going to send that in with the case file to the prosecutor, showing that you failed the polygraph today. When I ask these questions, and they're going to be like, why did Lily fail those questions on that test? Why? Why did she do that? You know what they're going to say? They're going to say she had something to do with it, and she didn't have the courage to step up and tell why she did what she did. This is huge for you. This is a turning point. This is a turning point. know that you were involved at some level. I know it, Renick.
Who
I
was
know
involved?
you were. We know you were. We're past that. We are way past that.
I wasn't involved.
We know you were. At some level. We're past that. We just need to know if you're sorry for what happened.
I didn't have anything to do with his murder. I'm sorry, I can't go back and tell you exactly what I was thinking in those moments. I have a tremendous amount of guilt for cheating on Ben and everything that I did, and then this happening. I understand what your polygraph said, but no, I didn't have any involvement in it.
No, what I'm telling you is, do you understand we're past any denial that you had anything to do with it? I'm telling you, you did.
No, I understand that you believe that, but no, I'm not going to say that I understand we're past that because I didn't have anything to do with it.
Okay, well, I'm telling you, you did have something to do with it. You were involved.
And I did
At some level. You did. And I'm past that. The investigation's past that.
That's fine, but I'm not going to agree with that because I didn't. I don't believe that I did on any level, in any capacity. So that's fine if you all want to, but no, I won't admit to that because I didn't.
She's denying something the investigators are increasingly sure of. And what's more, they don't think she did it alone. Phone records from June 8th show a large number of calls to one person, another man in her life. Remember Michael Humphrey, the ex-boyfriend who apparently got her hooked on pain pills? In June 2017, he was fresh out of prison, and Lynn Lee had been talking to him all the time, right up until June 8th. After that day, she hadn't talked to him since.
Coming in from the side.
Yeah, but the thing is that right there is very suspicious. There is so much circumstantial evidence against you in this case. It's mind-boggling.
But that's the key word, circumstantial. Her gunshot residue test had come back negative, and they have no other way of linking her to the crime except motive. She walks out of the polygraph room a free woman, and she lives her life that way for the next 3 years. She sells the family farm, closing the reptile business down, and leaves town with her children, with her claim on Ben's $1 million life insurance policy still pending. Meanwhile, Ben's murder threatens to become one of those unsolved cold cases, doomed to sit on file for good. January 2020.
We're investigators with Patrol. I'm here because you used to be dating Lindley.
That's correct.
Your dad gave me a call today and said that you wanted to talk to us.
Yeah.
This is the voice of Brandon Blackwell, one of the men Lynn Lee was seeing at the time of Ben's death, speaking from behind bars. He's locked up, and it seems he wants to come good, or at least make sure he's not the only one languishing in prison. Soon after Ben's death, he and Lynn Lee took their relationship public. He left his wife and 2 kids to be with her, and had another child with her. But their relationship had been tumultuous. She said he'd become threatening and had got an order of protection against him. He was charged with violating that order and stalking her, and now he wants to make a deal.
I'm concerned of getting out of that cell. So
now you're coming to us when you're in a pickle, so...
Right.
Due to the circumstances, investigators want to take what he says with a pinch of salt. But the story he goes on to tell is exactly what they're looking for, but haven't been able to prove. And worse.
He was given a protein drink one night that was laced full of enormous amounts of narcotics and somehow lived through it, but the plan was for that to be the last day of his life.
Brandon says that Lynn Lee hadn't only killed Ben, but she'd tried to do it before.
My information is out of the horse's mouth.
Okay.
He says she had 2 accomplices, her co-worker, Ashley Shaw, and her ex-boyfriend, Michael Humphrey. It was Michael who went with her that fatal June 8th, he says. But it was still Lynn Lee who ended up pulling the trigger.
They drove to the farm. He had gloves, he had a firearm. The plan was for him to do it. They get there, he hands her the gun, and says he doesn't feel comfortable doing it, something she's got to take care of. She walks in with the gun and just shoots him a bunch of times.
This is all the investigators need. They arrest Ashley, Michael, and Lynn Lee in one fell swoop. But Brandon's statement is still just hearsay. They want something concrete to move forward in prosecution, and so they decide to try to flip Ashley.
Now is the time. You're either on Team Lindley or you're on Team Missouri, and Team Lindley's going to jail. They're going to prison for first-degree murder.
Ashley folds under the pressure. She confesses to helping Lynn Lee make the poisoned smoothie.
She asked if I could get any prescription pills or anything in the amount that could help her kill him. And so I got her, it was Percocet, I'm pretty sure. And there was, I think, 15 of them.
15 Percocet apparently didn't do the trick. Ashley wasn't present at the farm for the next attempt either, but she says she heard all about it afterwards. Initially, Lynn Lee said that Michael had done the shooting, but a few days later, she changed her story.
Oh no, once we got there, I was fine to do it, and so he handed me the gun and I did it.
After the murder, she ever seemed remorseful? She ever seemed sorry?
Never. No.
But why would a seemingly ordinary woman like Ashley help Lynn Lee murder her husband? She had a righteous reason, apparently. Lynn Lee had told her that Ben was abusive. She'd also told this to Michael.
At some point during this conversation, did Lindley ever explain to you or give you a reason why she tried to kill her husband and why she was now seeking out somebody to shoot him?
She said that there was different physical and sexual abuse going on, like and whenever I went up there to go get a massage that 2 or 3 days later, whatever it was, I actually took her my gun.
Why did you want to take that gun to her on that occasion?
From what she was describing to me, I thought she could use it in a case of, like, if she only had that option left, it'd be self-defense.
This was the fiction Lynn Lee maintained right up to that fateful June 8th. She got Michael to drive her to the farm.
She had said that she was going to talk to him, get some of her stuff in order to stay there, like I said, at her dad's and stuff, and then from there it would probably work out whatever.
And based on what she told you or asked of you, what was your intended role to be, so to speak?
Just to make sure he didn't flip out, basically.
Tell us what happens when you pull up and the car actually stops.
We got out, walk around to the front of the car, and just as we get to the front of the car, from my right side, basically, sort of behind me, she walks up to me, and I feel something at my hip. I end up turning around and looking at it. It's the gun that I'd given her.
According to Michael, this is his first clue that he isn't just there to help Lynn Lee pack to leave her husband. No, she has something much darker in mind. Ben comes out of the house just as they arrive.
She walks around, kind of circles behind me this way, ends up telling him that I'm there to look at snakes, and that she had known me from or since high school or something to that effect. That I was a friend from high school or something like that, yeah.
Michael follows Ben into the reptile facility with Lynn Lee behind him. Surrounded by tubs of pythons and anacondas, Michael's in awe, and he's not concentrating on what Lynn Lee, with now single-minded purpose, is about to do.
From outside, came in the door and walked right past me.
And as she does this, does she say anything to you or Ben?
No. So like I said, I was looking at a whole lot of snakes, and then I heard a shot come out. I kind of ducked a little bit. I looked down through there, and she was at the end of the corridor, whatever you want to call it, posed up like this with a gun.
He says he drove Lynn Lee back to the spa, where Ashley helped Lynn Lee dispose of her clothes and washed off the gunshot residue. She left the gun she used to murder her husband in Michael's car. Ashley's able to fill in the rest.
Did she just discuss with you divorcing Ben in relationship to this event?
Yes.
And what did she tell you about that?
She said that he had resources to take her kids away, and she didn't have the resources to divorce him, and she was afraid to lose her children.
And again, do you remember the date that this first time she told you divorce is not the option? I think I need to murder my husband.
It would have been shortly after she told me about him, or so, a month or less than 2 months, but more than a month probably, kind of in that time frame.
Okay.
When the first attempt, poisoning Ben with Percocet, didn't work, Ashley helped Lynn Lee reconnect with Michael Humphrey. They set the date for the murder as June 8th.
It was supposed to happen in the morning. Lindley was supposed to pick the kids up, but she was going to text Ben that she wasn't feeling well, so then he was supposed to go pick the kids up because she needed a reason for the school to call her and tell her that he didn't show up.
And why wouldn't he pick up the kids?
Because he wouldn't be alive anymore. And alibi, I guess, or yeah.
The truth surrounding the horrible events on June 8th is becoming clear. Lynn Lee's murder of Ben was meticulously planned, from the weapon to the accomplices to the suggestion of an alibi. She even had Ashley send texts from her phone at the spa while Lynn Lee and Michael were at the farm to further obscure her location at the time of Ben's death. She's the instigator, and her fellow killers both cut deals to try to save themselves. Michael Humphrey is found guilty of first-degree murder, though he continues to claim that Lynn Lee pulled the gun out of the blue and he had no idea what her real intentions were. It's after this conviction that he decides to cooperate in Lynn Lee's trial in the hope of eventual parole. He tells the investigators where to find the gun, in his girlfriend's mother's attic. At Lynn Lee's trial, the prosecution sets out to paint her as a cold and calculated killer, motivated by the massive payout that Ben's death would represent, both the $1 million life insurance policy, but also the money he'd make from selling the snakes and the farm, which she immediately did after his death. She sold the farm for over $700,000. Lynn Lee, however, tells a different story. She and her team say that it was Michael who killed Ben, and that he did it entirely on his own. She takes the stand and talks about her relationship with Ben.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but is it fair to say that at some point you felt he was treating you more as an employee than a spouse or a partner?
Yes. And it was just kind of this revolving argument of me, telling him like, fine, I'll go get another job. And like, no, you're more important and valuable here. And then back to, no, you're not bringing in any money. So it's just hurting us. It was a lose-lose.
At some point, did you begin having extramarital affairs?
Yes.
Are you proud of that fact?
No.
Do you regret it?
Yes.
She wasn't short of motives to kill her husband, but she denies both attempts.
One of the clients that had been in one day had left some samples of some, protein drinks that she had we just all took a couple and tried them. I was violently ill.
Lynn Lee says it was just a client at the spa who'd left a doggy protein shake that she and Ben both drank, making them ill, which doesn't explain Ashley's story about the Percocet. Similarly, she says she went to the farm on June 8th just to talk to Ben, and that she took Michael with her for emotional support, though she said previously her relationship with Michael was toxic.
Did you have a gun with you at that time?
No.
Were you aware that Michael had a gun with him?
No.
And to be clear for the jury, why were you really there?
To ask Ben for a divorce.
You weren't going to kill Ben?
No.
You weren't there for Michael to kill Ben?
No.
According to Lynn Lee, this is when things went horribly wrong.
I walked up right behind Michael. I'm sorry. And then Michael turned around and I saw a gun in his hands, and then I heard shots ring out and I screamed and I ran outside, and then I heard more shots go off.
She says she was in shock, and Michael took her back to the spa.
And Ashley was already coming out of the door, and and she helped get me out of the car. She helped get me undressed. She turned the water on and was just holding it against my legs.
Why would Ashley try to clean Lindley up, obscuring any potential physical evidence if she hadn't had anything to do with the killing? This is one of the many questions unanswered by Lindley's testimony, and the prosecution picks up on these in cross-examination.
In the world, your universe of people, to select to go out on this day to ask for a divorce was an ex-boyfriend who you had a toxic relationship with that you hadn't seen in 7 years. That's who you chose to help you go keep Ben calm, correct?
Correct, not to keep Ben calm, but yes, correct.
You knew who the real killer was, and you told the police, not Michael Humphrey, but they ought to investigate Sam, correct?
Yes.
Man, what kind of cold heart lies within you?
According to Lindley's story, she knew who'd killed her husband all along, and she never said a word. Only now, when it's useful in her defense.
If you're willing to lie to the police about such a vital matter, why should these jurors now believe you?
I was lying to protect myself, and I told a lot of really awful lies just to do that. But it's just too heavy and it's too much.
Some lies are too heavy for her to carry, such as the lie that she was present for the death of her husband. Other lies, like the lie that she didn't want him dead and hadn't pulled the trigger herself, she's continuing to tell. Lindley never filed any police reports about Ben's alleged abuse. This doesn't mean that it didn't happen, but it's one factor of many that the jurors have to weigh up, considering also that she was the person who stood to gain by far the most financially from her husband's death, and that money was at the forefront of her mind, with the spa on the brink of closing down. After 12 long hours of deliberation, the jury returns a verdict.
They found Renick guilty of second-degree murder and armed criminal action in the death of her husband, Ben Renick. The jury recommended a sentence of 13 years for second-degree murder and 3 years for armed criminal action.
The judge agrees with this recommendation.
And a Boone County judge sentenced Lindley Renick to 16 years in prison after she was convicted of killing her husband, Ben Renick, in 2017.
Ben's family, however, does not.
And she murdered my brother to profit from his death. Lindley Renick is a murderer. She will always be a murderer.
The jury found her guilty of second-degree murder rather than first-degree because they cannot agree that there's sufficient evidence that the killing was premeditated. This necessitates the shorter sentence.
You're awful lucky, ma'am. You're gonna get out in your 40s, and my 40s weren't too bad. I just hope you don't kill again.
Following his testimony, Michael's conviction is lowered to second-degree murder, and the option of parole is reintroduced. He tries to appeal on the basis of hearsay testimony from Brandon Blackwell, but this appeal is unsuccessful. Meanwhile, Lindley waives her right to appeal. She sits in prison today with 13 years to go on her sentence. Her children, including her child with Ben, are being raised without their mother, a family totally broken apart by greed. The reptile community, however, continues to rally around Ben's memory. Fittingly, a new breed of snake has been named after him, the Renick Ghost. What do you think about this tragic story? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, stay safe, keep up with our channel, and we'll see you very soon on The Decoder.